All right, what is up, Goat World? It is your boy Shaggy Powers here, filling in for JDZ, who couldn't make it to GGP Chicago, and I am here with the man, the myth, the Mega Chad, AJTBLS, otherwise known as Adam Teshuba, who is the winner of GGP Chicago yesterday. And is it true, AJT, that you had to drop from Clash to play in this event?
So yeah, I was in the Clash tournament, and I was going to try to accumulate as many points as possible. That's my goal for the season. I want to be the player of the year, and I'm currently the front runner in points. But I was looking at the schedule, and I was able to play Clash for a bit. But then if I went in the losers bracket, because you only get paid points for top four, I'd have to drop out of the online tournament, or I'd have to play on my laptop and in person at the same time, which I felt would be A, hindering to my performance, and B, open and susceptible to being cheated by my opponent possibly, and I need to watch that. So I decided after losing to Alvarado in a great game 3 that I would have 6 matches to win the whole thing, or 4 matches to make the top 4, that it didn't make mathematical sense to continue. So I dropped, and I was wanting to focus on this.
And fun fact, what was the prize for winning this GGP today?
It was a PS5. Yeah, that's a very dream bet. All right, let's get into the deck.
Yeah, so what'd you play yesterday?
I played Chaos Turbo. I feel like it's the best deck right now, has the best and most efficient ways to generate +1s, which is, I feel, the Yugioh, especially in Goat format, is a format where you have to look at it on a plus-minus basis and use life points as a tool. Life points is a resource, and the actual game is plus and minus. So that's how I feel about this game, and since I've been changing my methodology and how I thought about this game, I've been performing very well this year. So I decided I'm going to run my standard turbo list with a little bit of edits. I was thinking at the meta call in Chicago was going to be a lot of warriors, a lot of burn, and a lot of chaos turbo, similar to online. But I also thought that there would be a lot of, not a lot, but a greater proportional representation of reasoning and OTK stuff. I didn't think we'd be seeing any empty jar or any library, because I feel like it may be a little hard to pilot in person, just in terms of 45-minute rounds, a lot of shuffling. So I didn't think that those decks would get a representation today or yesterday. So let's get into the deck.
Yes, let's see the deck.
Okay, so we got we're just going to go Sinister Stirpin. Cards that are obvious, I'm not going to spend too much time on. This was a monster for me. Every Chaos Turbo deck should run this. Breaker, love this card. Generates pluses. Anything that can get a plus. This has a built-in plus engine. I know some people are thinking about cutting it in their turbo list. I don't think it's possible. Suki, because this can generate pluses by running things over in battle. Warrior monsters, for fun fact, have usually 1,000 defense or less. This is 1,100 attack. And it can be a menace also to recycle your flip monsters that are in this deck to generate pluses, and also has good synergy with Snatch Steal. You take something from Snatch, set it, now that card is yours, and the Snatch is gone. So that's a +1. Tribe, great card. Main deck Kaiku. A lot of people don't do this in their turbo list. A lot of people give this card some hate, but it's a great card, and in a meta that I just described, Kaiku has a lot of value. Great against in a mirror match. Main deck, there's not a lot of things that can answer it. They'd have to waste a Mirror Force, or use their Mirror Force, or a Ring, or Wing Blast it, or Regeki Break it to answer this. This is a card that demands a response, so I feel like it's great at 1 in the main. And also, it's good against Warriors. 1800's beefy, and you start banishing stuff from their graveyard. Their 2 revivals being premature and Call of the Haunted start getting turned off. Sangan, obvious card. I ran 2 Dukoichis yesterday. I feel like anything more than that's clunky. A lot of the times in the Chaos Turbo Mirror, I found myself normal summoning it and poking for 1,400. The reason being is, and I know they put in the mind controls, and the math on setting a monster turn 1, 2, or 3 even, it's not very good in terms of it resolving. It might get attacked and ran over to draw, but the actual interaction of, I set it, they set back, and I get to flip it up, and my Koichi stays, that doesn't happen very often. So I felt like sometimes normal summoning this won me a couple games, especially when behind, just beating them down. 2 Magician of Faiths. I feel like 3 is too clunky. 2 is the perfect number, and it's been kind of tried and true. 2 is good. 3 Gravekeeper Spies. So I ran lists that only ran 2. I've ran lists that ran 0. I've ran lists that ran 3, and I felt like 3 is the clear winner. It's the best amount. It's a great card. having 3 of any monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Greatly improves the chances of opening 1 in your hand. I believe the math on it is like in the mid-40s, that if I'm going first with the cards in my deck, 2 Upstart Goblins, the Trinity pieces, that it's like slightly over 40% that I'm going to have 1 of these. And also, that's similar math that could be applied to Thunder Dragon. Okay, so continuing. 2 Night of Seon. These cards are great for my discard traps. They have the ability and synergy with targeting another flip. Also can be set as like a Man-Eater Bug kind of thing, and as a dark. So it's a good card. It kind of resolves the whole deck. They complement each other, and it's basically the whole build revolves around these cards. 2 Chaos Sorcerers, +1 generator, great card. Kind of Chaos Turbo, it's in the name. 2 of them's good. Any more is too much, any little is too little. 1 Black Luster Soldier, wish we could run more, right? But we can't. One of my personal favorite cards, so included. People always say that I always have this card, so I always do. It's I only love my BLS and my mama, I'm sorry. Code Drake, that's in my dueling book profile.
BLS.
So this is love this card. And obviously 3 Thunder Dragons. Those doesn't need an explanation, but it's awesome. Okay, we'll move on to so there's 21 total there. We will move on to the spells or magic cards. Okay, so we've got 12 of these. Card Destruction. I've cut this card for a mind control previously. Before getting to the event, I had a change of heart. You can't say that, so there's having a pun in there. It's so funny. Every time I say that card, I think of Yu-Gi-Oh. Say that phrase, I think of Yu-Gi-Oh. It's great against Warriors. It's great against everything except the Mirror. And even in the Mirror match, a well-timed Card Destruction, if you're reading they have Snatch Steal, reading they have a BLS, it's just gone. So it's a good card. I have mixed emotions about it. I like cutting this to main a mind control, but I felt like I felt the Warrior dominance and the Burn dominance that I can make the substitution to not main mind control to put into Card Destruction. 2 Upstart Goblins just increases the draw power. Another target for Magician of Faith. Yes, your opponent gains 1,000 life, but I'm thinning my deck and I'm getting to my cards that I need to get. Heavy Storm, self-explanatory. Mystical Space Typhoon, I know people sometimes are putting this in the side. I think it's good in the main. It's a great card and phase. It's very versatile, good against lots of decks. Snatch Steal, obvious staple. Now, Book of Moon. People have a weird relationship with this card. People cut this card. It's kind of like the most commonly cut card in this build, and I just don't see the reason for it. With this meta that I thought that would be present in Chicago, Book is very versatile. I have a lot of monsters running 21 of them. A lot of them have good synergy to go face down. Protects my Chaos monsters. I don't want more than 1, but 1 is the perfect amount, and I don't see myself cutting this card in the future. I think it's great. 2 Noblemen of Crossouts. Awesome in this mirror. It's great against every deck except Warriors, so easy side out. And surprisingly, a lot of these Warrior decks now are siding the Great Keeper Spies, siding the Dequay siding the Magicians. So it even could be kept in its rare circumstances, but generally they come out against that deck. Pot of Greed, Charity, and Duo. No explanation needed. This is kind of Go format. Okay, so we got 12 there. And let's move on to the traps. Low trap count. We're only running 7. So here we go. 1 trap dust shoot. I was actually maining 2, but I swapped it out to main the second card. This card is nutty when you're going first. I wanted in my opening hand. I wanted to main 2, but I felt because of the Warrior dominance and the Burn dominance that this card at 2 might be too bricky, too bad. It's a horrible top deck late game. So we reduced it to 1. And I think it was the right call. Now, this is the card that people are raving about online in the main deck. So, let's explain.
Yeah, explain this card. Everyone's upset about it. Why is it good?
It's not good, but it was good yesterday, and I'll tell you why. With my meta call and my thought process, if I think there's going to be a lot of Warriors, a lot of Burn, this card against Burn is awesome, against that Panda Burn. They can only inflict so much damage using their traps, being their Burn traps or their spells, the Chain Energy. They also need to attack you to do damage with their Panda, with their rat, and this is a 1-for-1 guaranteed removal unless it gets hit by the breaker. In that case, I want to preserve my life points. It's good, and it was a great call in this meta. It's obviously a side out against Chaos Turbo or Chaos Control, but surprisingly enough, there was a game in one of the early rounds of Swiss where the player was down to his last Chaos Monster, unless he was running 3 of them. 1 Sork was in the grave, 1 BLS was in the grave. This card, he caught him completely off guard because he attacked with a Sork, and it was kind of like his remaining meal ticket that's completely gone now because I had Saku, and he said, "Wow, you're maining that today?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'm maining it today," and he was shocked. So it caught somebody off guard. I don't generally main this card except in Warriors or in other decks, but it was really good yesterday for a variety of decks. I don't know if I'm ever going to do it again, but it was really good yesterday.
Good meta call.
Yes, it was a good meta call. Torrential, I like this card. Has the ability to generate pluses, kind of my thing. I like plus minus, so Torrential stays in. Mirror Force, same reason. If I'm maining Saku, obviously maining Mirror Force. Ring, best trap in the game, and 2 Wing Blasts. I'm a Wing Blast guy. I like it over Regeki Break currently. I feel like setting your opponent back and not loading their grave is good. There is the argument that these could be Regeki Breaks if my meta call was Warriors and Burn, but I felt like because of my side deck that you're about to see that I had enough to offset maining for Wayne over Regeki. So let's go to the side. We got 7 there. And
well, I see there's something very, very interesting is there's no Solemn. No Solemn.
No Solemn, no Jar. I like my life points. This deck, I feel like, does not need Solemn Judgment. Paying half, I'm trying to think of situations other than a game shot or resolving something absolutely major that I need a Solemn Judgment. If there's going to be a lot of Warriors, they're out-Solemning me 3-1. I'm not going to run more than 1. They have 3, I have 1. They Solemn, I Solemn. I just paid half for nothing. What did I achieve? And I use life points as a tool. So I like to keep my life. I don't see a reason to main deck that's Solemn. Also, you find yourself in situations where, let's say you lose a game and you had a Solemn and you use it the whole day for Swiss. If this happens in an early game, you're going to be thinking about that one play. Man, I shouldn't have Solemn. I shouldn't have Solemn that card. That's why I lost. Solemn can lead you to tilting in future rounds by misusing it. It's a hard card to use, and I'm not saying I'm not able to do it. It's just I felt like it's not needed for this meta call that I was making. I have main deck Solemn and Turbo in various amounts, and I am a huge Solemn advocator in Warriors and other decks where you're accomplishing the win by beating your opponent down, not necessarily by a plus-minus. So Solemn was not needed.
Thank you for explaining that.
We'll go on to the 15-card side deck. So we are going to start out with 2 King Tiger Wangu. This was my first time untested, other than in did I run it in Clash? I think I might have. I don't know. I have to pull it up. I was talking to my friend Wes when we were coming up from Canada, driving up from Canada to Chicago in the car. And I said, we're going to cut a Serve Priest, and we're going to try out going with King Tiger. And let me explain. This card is awesome against Burn. They can't put out their Ojama tokens. They also can't normal summon their Panda unless I have another monster because of the effect on it. It's also good against Control, so you can side 2 of them in against the Control. And it's really good against Reasoning or RGT Stein decks. So it's a very versatile card, has nice stats, and its effect is nuts. And while it might turn off some of the cards in my deck, my cards live when you flip it up. So it's interesting, like when you flip summon, it lives, obviously. So it's a good card. Had to be careful using this yesterday. Its attribute sucks. I don't know what I'm going to do with it in the future, but this was a meta call card. So on to more of the side here. Siding another Kaiku. I like to go 2 of them in the Chaos Turbo Mirror, and I like to put it in against Warriors. It's awesome. Another Trap Dust Shoot. Great in the Mirror. I put this in even if I'm going second. I don't care. I'll have 2 Trap Dust Shoots in the Chaos Turbo Mirror against Chaos Control. You're running Thunder Dragon. I have 2 shoots. I don't care if I'm going first or second. It's awesome. It can absolutely change the game. 2 Mind Controls. I put this in against Chaos Turbo. I don't know if necessarily I put in both against Chaos Turbo, depending if I'm going first or second. If I'm going first, I only want 1, and usually maybe I'll put in 2, depending on maybe their whatever I think their flip monster count is. If they have 3 Decoichis, I'll go 2. It's very close, but definitely 1 or 2 come in. Swords of Revealing Light, I always side this card, and it's awesome against Warriors. We're talking on like a 1 to 10 basis where, like, you know, Type 10 would obviously be like Pot of Greed and stuff you don't rank. This card here would get a ranking against Warriors or Reasoning specifically of like a 9. It is unreal. Buys yourself time. You have to accomplish something with this. It's either protecting you for 3 turns, you hold it until you absolutely need it, or you want to resolve your Dekoichi, like I mentioned earlier, by flipping it up and the body stays. So you need to accomplish things when you use this card, but it's absolutely massive. It's great. 1 Threatening Roar. I was actually originally going to run 2, but I reduced it to 1 because I just didn't know how much Reasoning would be there. I feel like this card is awesome against OTK decks. You know, they use Tornado, they use Storm. Chain that Roar. What are they going to do to you that turn?
Yeah, you literally did that in finals as well.
Yes, it. I don't know if it necessarily won me into finals, but it was an awesome card to have. And it's kind of like they waste their resource. They want to go Trinade. Okay, we'll chain Roar. That's a 1-for-1. But guess what? Now I don't die that turn, and his resource of Trinade, assuming they run 2 or 3, is gone. They're going to need to have another one because next turn my spell traps are coming back down. Let's go on to further side deck. Call of the Haunted. Okay, so this card I put in against Warriors and I put against Burn. I guess if you really want to be spicy, I also put it against Reasoning. You could put it in against like Control, and when they go Goats, you can call the Haunted back King Tiger, which would be really nasty. But the general idea is I like to have this card against Warriors. It's generally there for aggro or Warriors. Really good synergy with a lot of the cards I'm about to describe. Really good against Burn too, with another card coming later in my deck. So you can call back. The idea is you call back an effect monster, chaining it to something where you attack for game with this card. Awesome. 1 Jinzo. I'm trying to pioneer this movement, going with the Call Jinzo, an old 2005 combo. People are main decking it back in the day. It's awesome at 1. Obviously, you can only run 1. If it was can run more, it'd be busted. I like cards that are limited. It's great. Put it in against Burn. Half their deck is turned off while I have a 2400 beater, and it's a dark. Awesome. Sign me up. Chain it back with Call. Put it in the graveyard. I have Call. This combo is busted. Self-explanatory. They use Mirror Force. Call back Jinzo. Mirror Force fizzles. It's great. 2 Mystic Walk. I take Burn very seriously. It's also great in time because of the time rules. It's really good in person. You need to have this even online for Burn, but it's even better in person due to the time rules. So if you go to Sudden Death, a lot of the times like you'll side in Walk because you need to be higher life points than your opponent. When you go into time in Sudden Death, the plus-minus system goes out the window because the game is limited to that set amount. So these cards are great in time. 2 Berserk Gorillas. I put this in against Warriors. A lot of people like Zombraya the Dark. I was a proponent fan of Zombraya, but I don't like the fact that Zombraya can't attack direct and its attack reduces against Warriors. This is a good card against it. I know it's Earth Attribute, but I actually reduce a Chaos Sorcerer against Warriors anyways because they have 3 Kaiku and I don't want to be clogged up with it, and I'm also putting in a whole bunch of Earths. And lastly, one of my favorite cards, absolutely love it, and has great synergy again with Call of the Haunted. Big chain, or big burn coming in. Call of the Haunted, take back Wombat. That's like game over, and it's awesome against Burn. Attacks under everything, and I've explained this card so many times. I absolutely love it. That summarizes my deck profile.
Is there any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Oh, yeah, I want to shout out the whole 519 Goats team. I want to shout out Chris Pateo, of course, coming up this week prior to the event, which was yesterday on Saturday. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day, I went to Pateo's house and we were playing on the kitchen table. I must have played Chris 50 times in 50 matches throughout the week, testing various cards, all turbo mirrors generally, unless he wanted me to play Warriors against his turbo. And coincidentally, unfortunately, it was me versus him in the top 8, so it was a team kill. But you know what? He feels the same way. If I lost to him, I'd want him to win the whole thing. He lost to me. He wanted me to win the whole thing. It's awesome. A lot of our 519 guys topped. Out of the 5 that came, 4 of us topped. 3 of us made the top 8. So we're dominating this local scene with our Windsor group there, and that's who I want to shout out. I also want to shout out my team, Ring of Destruction, and this new War League team coming out, Safari Zone. Come get poached. Come join the squad, and yeah, that's my shout outs. I also want to shout you out, Shaggy, and my boy JDZ, of course. That's these guys, awesome, great community leaders, and shout out to Goat Format for hosting I'm having the Grand Prix. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great job. Definitely in the running for Player of the Year and the leaderboard right now. And thanks for coming out and great win.
Thanks.